Imagine standing before the world's most powerful empire and demanding your freedom. Not asking, not negotiating, demanding. And then imagine winning. On March 6, 1957, a small West African nation called Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule. As the British flag came down and the new flag of Ghana rose up, a man stood before hundreds of thousands of people and declared, "At long last, the battle has ended. Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever." That man was Kwame Nkrumah. And his victory didn't just free one nation. It ignited a fire that would sweep across an entire continent. This is the story of the man who proved that Africans could govern themselves, and in doing so, changed the course of history. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1909 in Nkroful, a small village in the Gold Coast, what would later become Ghana. His father was a goldsmith. His mother was a retail trader. They weren't wealthy, but they understood something crucial. Education was power. As a young boy, Nkrumah walked miles to attend mission schools. He was brilliant, hungry for knowledge in a way that impressed everyone who met him. He became a teacher himself, working at Catholic schools while dreaming of something bigger. In 1935, at age 26, Nkrumah left Africa for the first time. He traveled to America to study at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, one of the historically black universities that educated African American students. It was here that Nkrumah's worldview exploded open. He studied philosophy, theology, and education. But more importantly, he encountered ideas that would shape his entire life: Pan-Africanism, Marxism, and anti-colonialism. He met other African and Caribbean students who were also dreaming of freedom. He read W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and other black thinkers who argued that African people everywhere, whether in Africa, America, or the Caribbean, shared a common struggle against oppression. Nkrumah earned multiple degrees. He could have stayed in America, teaching comfortably. Instead, in 1945, he moved to London to continue his studies and to plot revolution. In London, Nkrumah helped organize the 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester, bringing together activists from across Africa and the diaspora. It was at this Congress that the call for African independence became concrete and urgent. No more gradual reforms. No more waiting for colonial masters to grant freedom. Africans would take their freedom themselves. Nkrumah was ready. Africa was calling. And in 1947, he returned home to answer that call. When Nkrumah returned to the Gold Coast in 1947, the British had ruled the territory for over a century. They extracted gold, cocoa, and timber, while keeping Africans out of real power. Local chiefs collaborated with the British. The educated elite talked about eventual self-government, maybe in 20 or 30 years. Nkrumah had no patience for eventually. He joined the United Gold Coast Convention, UGCC, a political party led by moderate elites. But Nkrumah wasn't moderate. He was radical. He traveled across the country, organizing ordinary people, farmers, workers, market women, building a mass movement from the ground up. His message was simple and electric: self-government now. The colonial authorities were alarmed. When riots broke out in 1948, the British arrested Nkrumah and other UGCC leaders, even though they hadn't started the riots. This was a mistake. The arrest made Nkrumah a hero. When he was released, Nkrumah broke away from the UGCC and formed his own party in 1949, the Convention People's Party, CPP. The CPP wasn't for the elite. It was for the masses. Its motto was, "Self-government now." Its symbol was a red cockerel, crowing to wake up the nation. Nkrumah organized strikes, boycotts, and demonstrations. He launched a campaign called Positive Action, nonviolent civil disobedience modeled on Gandhi's methods in India. The entire country seemed to grind to a halt. The British arrested him again in 1950, sentencing him to 3 years in prison for sedition. But you can't stop an idea whose time has come. In 1951, while Nkrumah was still in prison, the British held elections for a legislative assembly. The CPP won in a landslide. The people had spoken. They wanted Nkrumah. The British had no choice but to release him and make him leader of government business, essentially the Prime Minister, though the Gold Coast wasn't independent yet. Nkrumah had gone from prisoner to Prime Minister in a matter of days. For the next 6 years, Nkrumah navigated the delicate path toward full independence, negotiating with the British while maintaining pressure from the streets. He proved that Africans could govern, that they could build institutions, that they could manage a modern state. And on March 6, 1957, the Gold Coast became Ghana, named after the ancient West African Empire, and Kwame Nkrumah became the first Prime Minister of independent Ghana, and later, when Ghana became a republic in 1960, its first president. Nkrumah didn't just want to free Ghana. He wanted to free all of Africa and unite it. He believed passionately in Pan-Africanism, the idea that all African nations should unite into a single, powerful federation. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent, he declared. He hosted conferences. He funded liberation movements across Africa, in Kenya, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Algeria. He offered scholarships to students from colonized African nations. He built schools, hospitals, and the massive Akosombo Dam, which provided electricity across the country. He made Ghana a beacon of hope for colonized people everywhere. Between 1957 and 1965, over 30 African nations gained independence. Ghana had shown it was possible. Nkrumah's vision was becoming reality. But power is complicated, and Nkrumah's story doesn't have a simple ending. As the years went on, Nkrumah grew more authoritarian. He jailed political opponents. He declared Ghana a one-party state. He cultivated a personality cult, with statues and portraits of himself everywhere. He titled himself Osagyefo, the Redeemer. His economic policies were ambitious, but often impractical. He spent heavily on grand projects while the economy struggled. He made enemies, both internal and external. The CIA and British intelligence didn't want a Pan-African socialist leader gaining influence, and there's evidence they supported efforts to destabilize his government. In 1966, while Nkrumah was on a state visit to China, the military staged a coup. He was overthrown. He never returned to Ghana. He lived the rest of his life in exile in Guinea, where President Sékou Touré gave him refuge and even made him honorary co-president. Nkrumah died of cancer in 1972 in Bucharest, Romania, where he had gone for medical treatment. He was 62 years old. So how do we judge Kwame Nkrumah? On one hand, he became the dictator he once fought against. He centralized power. He silenced dissent. His economic management was flawed. These are real failures that caused real harm. But on the other hand, he did what many said was impossible. He led his country to independence through largely peaceful means. He proved that Africans could govern themselves with dignity and competence. He inspired an entire continent to throw off colonial chains. Without Nkrumah's Ghana, African independence might have taken decades longer. After his death, attitudes toward Nkrumah in Ghana were complicated. Some celebrated him. Others blamed him for economic troubles. But over time, recognition of his achievements has grown. In 2000, he was voted Africa's Man of the Millennium by BBC listeners. His mausoleum in Accra is a site of national pride. Ghana's Independence Day remains a powerful reminder of what he accomplished. Kwame Nkrumah was not a perfect man. He made mistakes. He let power corrupt him. He didn't always live up to his own ideals, but he did something extraordinary. He stood up to an empire and won. He gave millions of people hope. He showed the world that colonialism could be defeated, that African nations could stand on their own, and that freedom was not something to be granted, it was something to be seized. When Nkrumah declared, "Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever," he wasn't just speaking to Ghanaians. He was speaking to all of Africa. He was speaking to all colonized people everywhere. And they heard him. One by one, across the continent, nations rose up and claimed their freedom. The age of African colonialism ended not because empires became generous, but because people like Kwame Nkrumah proved that freedom was possible and worth fighting for. That is his legacy. Complicated, flawed, but undeniably powerful. Ghana was the first, but it wouldn't be the last. If Nkrumah's story moved you, please like and subscribe for more untold stories from African history and beyond. Comment below. What's your take on Nkrumah? Hero, villain, or something in between? See you next time.